we have immortal life energy flowing within us through the Merkabah. We saw that last time. The Merkabah is able to help regenerate the soul and the physical body. The energy it focuses helps with healing as it interacts with the subtle energy fields that a person has, such as the unified energy field, in a healing manner by raising frequency. And a lot of sickness is a result of low emotional frequency and mental frequency, because we're thinking of fear, worry, anxiety, all those negative things, lower our frequency and therefore make it easier for us to become sick. But when we're living in abundant health, we have energy which actually brings about a field within us which raises our frequency and brings us into the frequency health. So that's why the frequencies of our thinking and our emotions, when they're focused on love and joy and peace and all those amazing things, actually bring us into a place of health. Our whole immune system is designed to function efficiently when we're living in the attitude of thanksgiving and gratitude. The healing effects of the Merkabah help prolong life, but connection to the unified quantum field promotes abundant life and immortality. We're drawing life out of the life of God, effectively. This works as we learn to focus the frequencies of intention, converging love and joy and peace to bring rest and access to the abundant life energy from God within us. And we saw last time about drinking, John 4, drinking from that fountain, that well, that we're drinking that from that eternal source. John 7, drinking from Jesus, the source, to have rivers of living water flowing from the core of our being, talking about spirit, talking about life, talking about energy and light. So the living light energy flows to the Merkabah, where it's focused, distributed to our 7 energy gates to give us limitless energy and abundant life. That's also connected to the Sephiroth, or the tree of life, which has a geometric shape, which has connections to the energy gates, and that is designed to bring a balance between spirit and soul that brings wholeness to our body. You see, it's no point if we function only in the spirit and have no outworking in the soul, and it's also no point if we're only operating in the soul and not in the spirit. We need the correct balance for both. On earth as it is in heaven. That's bringing balance and wholeness, where our body then comes into the wholeness that our spirit and soul are living in. The Father has spoken to me quite a lot about the Merkabah, quite a lot of truth he's revealed. And when he spoke to me about this, first off, I didn't understand everything he said. And to be quite honest, I still don't understand everything he said, but I believe that what he said was true and is true, but it's going to be a journey of discovery and of revealing that truth so I can know the full experience of it. So I'm going to share some of the things that the Father said so that you can hear those things. And if you choose to embrace them and seek the Father for that revelation, you can. Son, the Merkabah has multiple levels of revelation and application to it that will open up with the maturity of sonship. So the more we begin to mature in sonship, the more this truth will begin to be something we understand and can function in. The first level for most people is as the chariot of Ezekiel, which moves their heavenly throne dimensionally. And you can read about the chariot, which is the word Merkabah, and how it moves things around in the heavens. The application of energy linked with the gateways that some call chakras is another level, and entering through portals as gateways as another level. And that is a level of revelation to experience. Now, these are just things that the Father said. And at that point, I didn't know that I could enter into portals inwardly. I was doing it, but I didn't know the application and how I could choose to do it in that way. The connection to the governmental positions within the Tree of Life and Metatron's cube in light is another. Now, I had to think, what's that mean? Which is why I began to pursue the Tree of Life and how the Tree of Life related to the 7 energy gates and the Merkabah within me. So I began to pursue that revelation, engage it, and the Father opened that revelation up for me to understand the balance of the tree of life is to bring spirit and soul together in union with the body. Now, Metatron's cube is a whole other subject, but it's sort of the center of the Merkabah in the picture that you have in a sacred geometric shape. And that is another story. And I've looked to engage some of what that is, but I'm sure there's a lot more to understand there. Using the limitless grace energy to create and choose reality, drawing from the unified quantum field, is not a common revelation, but will come with expanded consciousness. Now, again, when God said this to me a few years ago, I was like, what is the unified quantum field? How can I choose reality from energy that comes from a field that I don't even understand? But the Father was teaching me how to begin to choose reality based on the revelation of his heart. And as I learned to do that, it expanded my consciousness, my awareness, the way I thought and think, to realize that quantum physics says that the observer chooses the reality, and that reality responds to my observation or my choice. So I began to learn to do that. And I have many testimonies of choosing to do things when I needed to that enabled me to do what people would call miracles. But in reality, they were just me choosing a reality which were aligned to the Father's heart rather than any other reality which may have aligned to my own thinking or other people's thinking. Son, the activation of your energy gates and fields by intentionality, and intentionality is really important. We have to intentionally choose to do something and focus it. It isn't going to happen randomly or haphazardly. We have to choose and focus. Is the first step towards the ability to generate and direct thought energy as a frequency. Frequency, everything is made up of frequency, energy, which we see as matter when it's vibrating at particular frequencies that we can engage. So what the Father was saying is, as I learn to activate the energy gates within me, and I activate the fields of energy which are around me, hence rivers of living water flowing through my innermost being, from that around me, out through the gateways of my body, I can create energy fields which I can live in. And I can live within a place of peace and rest and life and abundance. And that's a frequency. Son, look deeper into the sacred geometric image and use this knowledge to increase your thought energy and creative ability. Now, when Father said that, I didn't know what he meant at all. I knew the image I have because I have it as behind me in my previous office, and it was a big picture, and I have pictures of it on the wall. And when I looked at it, I would look into it, and I think, well, what am I looking at? What does this mean? How does this relate to me and my thoughts? But the more I did that, the more the Father began to show me that actually that knowledge of dimensional connections and portals within the Merkabah actually meant I could use my thought energy in a creative way. And then God took me on a journey to show me how I could brood within what he called the cradle of life, which was within his heart, place where I could come into resonant agreement with him. And then I could go through a process of becoming his voice, of creatively then speaking his voice, and light would begin to respond to me. But when he spoke this, I didn't know any of that. But I set my heart on it. I pondered it in my heart. I treasured it in my heart, even though I had no real clue what it meant. But that treasuring, that incubating, that being pregnant with something, it allows it to grow. And as it grows in you, it then begins to ultimately begin to manifest and be birthed. The unified quantum field can be the connection between your consciousness and creation through the elementals that are connected to the living light strings of our grace. Now, again, that's a mouthful, and it's a mindful, because I'm looking at that thinking, okay, unified quantum field. consciousness, creation, elementals, living light strings of grace. So I'm thinking, wow. Then revelation about the elementals, those beings that God created for us to connect with creation, and we think of them as earth and fire, and air and water, but also elements of ether, which is the field that we can engage in. All of them we can learn to interact with and connect with, so that light again begins to outwork in our life towards creation. Son, engage the elementals through the Merkabah by your consciousness, not just in physical locations, so you can connect to all dimensional realities to restore hope. Now, again, I was on a journey towards engaging things dimensionally, but this helped me because I see there are elementals in the dimensions as well as elementals on earth. Now, you can connect to the elements, and you can connect to the trees, and you can get to the earth, you can connect to the plants and different things. You can begin to connect to them. And I've done a lot of that this year in terms of I've done quite a lot of gardening this year, quite a lot of looking after the garden and tending and cultivating the trees and growing things. And I've began to connect my conscious choice to them for favor and blessing and bounty. So I've had bountiful harvests of things that I've planted because I'm engaging it at an elemental level in a sentient way with creation and my thinking. So we have a big cherry tree at the front of the house. And I said, do we get cherries from that tree? And the answer was, well, not very many. And the blackbirds eat most of the ones that we do. So I set my heart to engage the tree. And so I communed with the tree through the elementals, in a sense of connection, so that I could communicate my desire that that tree would produce an abundance of cherries that would be more than enough for all our needs and an abundance for every good deed. So the neighbors could have some, the blackbirds could have lots of them, we would also have lots of them. And we had an amazing harvest of cherries. And I believe we're designed to connect, just as Adam and Eve in the garden were there to tend and cultivate the garden and therefore receive a bounty, not to strip it bare or to abuse it, but to cooperate and work with it. And I believe God is wanting to reveal how we can begin to connect to creation in a very positive light. Son, the Merkabah can be the connection to the dimensions, but also has the ability to broadcast intentional thought energy to the Babel-like towers you have seen. Now, when we had the Tower of Babel on Earth, that tower was a communication system to connect to the heavens or to the dimensions. And what it broadcast was negative frequency of our lost identity out to those dimensions. So as God opened those dimensions for me to go and visit and engage with some of the beings from those dimensions who wanted help, and when I engaged with them, they wanted to know how that they could be set free and how they could come into freedom and restoration. Why did they want that? Because they were feeling our energy and our energy of sonship, and they were drawn to it, and then they began to reach out. Then God opened the door to connect to them. So when I went to several of their dimensional places to engage with them, I saw that there were Babel-like towers in each of them that were created to connect to our dimensional reality for communication. So I disrupted that communication and put into it and broadcast into those dimensions the truth of God's love, the truth of freedom, the truth that would counteract all the negative frequencies that they receive from our lost identity into the true frequencies of our full identity as sons of God. Now, again, this has been a journey and a process to come into this type of reality. Son, use this ability to send love letters as messages of hope and freedom dimensionally. And I've been doing that. I've been engaging the earth shield. I've been engaging the dimensions. It's part of what I do. It's part of who I am, to communicate God's love not just on earth, but out into every dimensional reality. Creation does not distinguish between the frequency of sound produced by the voice, a bowl, or your mind as you think the sound. Now, again, this was something. Now, I'd been playing with crystal bowls and different things and using the frequency of the bowls, focus intention, seen healing and various things as a result of that. But what the Father was showing me here, and what he will show all of us, is that creation does not distinguish between those sounds, whether we speak to it, whether we produce a frequency and release an intention, or whether we think, because as we think, it's the frequency that is just like a sound. All frequency generating methods have the same effect at a quantum level, where photonic strings of grace, living light, will respond to your sonship mandate. Now, again, I've learned this. I didn't understand this to begin with, but as I've continued to pursue, I begin to learn more and more of how to use my mind and how used to my intention and to focus my thinking to begin to engage. Son, this is the function of oracles and legislators. Remember the four faces of God in regard to the order of Melchizedek is man, lion, ox, eagle, priest, king, oracle, legislator. When we're an oracle, in other words, when we speak from the heart of God with the voice of God, we then can legislate and bring that authority into manifestation to bring it about. They're resonating with the oracles of our heart at a motivational level. See, I do not want to be an oracle of my own thoughts or a legislator of my own ideas. I want to resonate with the Father's heart, with the oracles of his heart, with that passion, with that burning desire, with that overwhelming love, with that deep compassion, with that intense joy. Those are the oracles of his heart. And to resonate with them and be motivated with them when I engage creation, when I engage dimensions, fallen beings, people, I want to demonstrate and be a reflection of the Father's heart, resonating with it and carrying that essence of love. The hearts of our sons produce pentatonic energy fields by design to generate the oracle's frequencies to connect with creation. Now, again, when I first heard that, I thought, what on earth is that about? Because I'm not a musician and I didn't understand pentatonic scales or pentatonic energy fields. I had no idea, but I treasured it and I began to pursue it. And I Googled a little bit and I found that pentatonic musical scales, which are 5 notes, are always harmonious. Now, for me, who is not a musician, that meant I could have 5 crystal bowls and I could use those crystal bowls to play and it would be harmonious. And it is and was. And then I just tried to say, okay, Father, what are the frequencies of the oracles of your heart? What are they? What actual frequencies are they? And the Father showed me what those frequencies were. And I actually played the 5 notes of my crystal bowls. I recorded them and I tuned them to the oracles that he showed me so that then I could play those notes at the frequency that he showed me, and they would be powerful to bring about the outworking of the oracles of his heart, to demonstrate his passion, his burning desire, those amazing ways that he sees us, thinks about us, and interacts with us. And the Father continued to say, that is why the pure of heart can see beyond and why life flows from the heart. And the heart here is not the physical organ, and it's not the soul, it's the union of soul and spirit. It's our innermost being. And when we're pure in heart, life flows. Son, this ability to choose and create reality has been limited to the unconscious and subconscious, which means we keep creating the realities which we've been birthed in and experienced in the past, but has mostly been lost by the conscious mind. It is being restored. So we will be able to choose a different reality from that which we are programmed to live in by our past. And if we keep operating out of what we have from our memory of past experience, we will keep creating the same reality and keep repeating and going around the same mountain over and over again. But when we begin to choose new creation realities, we'll find that that ability restored will enable us to live in a completely different dimensional way. So a heart motivated by selfishness, the selfishness of the do-it-yourself tree path, tree of the knowledge of good and evil, will only create more chaos if it accesses these abilities. So this is why we've lost these bandwidth abilities in the past, because we were using it for our own good or bad, in reality, selfishness anyway. So only as our hearts are renewed and restored and made whole, we begin to operate from the heart of God, will the fullness of these abilities be released to us. That is why we need to mature. A pure, undivided heart resonating with love's oracles is the only way to bring about restoration at a creational and dimensional level. This is still God speaking these things to me. Son, guard your heart and focus on developing the pentatonic frequencies and energy fields around your being and spheres. And when he's talking about spheres, he's talking about areas of authority that I have. And that's what I began to do. I began to learn how to engage my heart with the pentatonic frequencies, and I began to play them on the crystal bowls, and I engaged them, and I intentionally engaged them, and I began to create energy fields around me from what was developing, and those energy fields were oracles of the Father's heart. So I want people around me to feel God's passion for them, his burning desire for a relationship with them, his intense joy when he thinks of them, his deep compassion and overwhelming love. Matthew 12:34, for the mouth speaks out of that which fills the heart. So we need to make sure that that which is filling our heart is good. Matthew 5:8, blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. So we need to look at the heart and make sure the heart is being restored, whole, healed, and able to focus and choose the right intentions. Proverbs 4:20, my son, give attention to my words, incline your ear to my sayings. Do not let them depart from your sight. Keep them in the midst of your heart. And this is where, when we begin to engage the heart of the Father, face to face, heart to heart, mind to mind, when we engage the cradle of life, when we engage his thoughts and intentions, they begin to shape us. And if we keep them within our heart as the center of motivation for what we think, feel, and do, they will bring life to those who find them and health to their whole body. And here is a statement of immortality. We need the reality and truth of God's heart in our heart, in the midst, and that will bring life and health. So watch over your heart with all diligence, for from it flow the springs of life. Immortal life flows from the core of our heart, and our heart is the center of the energy gates connected to the Merkabah, flowing with energy which flows from the inside, from heaven, through to us, and is then dissipated into our body and energizing us for life. So it's important that we keep our heart, our spirit, soul in union, in oneness with Father, Son, and Spirit, not separated, so that life flows. So we need to focus, give attention to what he says, give attention to his truth that he reveals. I'm not just talking about the Bible here, but to his words that he speaks to you, that he speaks to me. Because Jesus said, my sheep will hear my voice and they will follow me. So let's make sure we're focusing on the things that God has said to us. And as we begin to mature, as we begin to ascend higher, we will discover that we have creative abilities far beyond what we could ever imagine or thought. we have the ability to live multidimensionally, not just in dual realms in heaven and earth, and we have the ability to engage and travel dimensionally and in time. All of that is the eternal aspect of our life as sons, of our immortal life, of our eternal life. And we need to embrace that, and we need to come into the fullness of that. And I want to encourage you to be open to a whole different framework of thinking, to be unlimited by time and space. Now, it's an amazing thing, I think, and I'm still in awe of the things that God spoke to me about. And even though I don't understand everything, I treasure it, and I believe that that reality will come about as I fully begin to embrace that. And ultimately, I believe we're all in a creative process, that God is taking us beyond human, as Justin would say, restoring humanity from lost identity back into mankind made in the image, in God's creative image. We're becoming godlike as sons of our Heavenly Father who is limitless. And our experiences of that will begin to challenge and change our view of life, our mindsets, our belief systems. So again, just encourage you to close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, just begin to relax, get into a comfortable position, begin to rest, start focusing your thinking on the Father, on the Son, on the Holy Spirit. Just start to breathe very slowly. Breathe in and breathe out very, very slowly. And as you're breathing in, consciously focus on breathing in the unconditional love of the Father. Just breathe it in. Hold it. Let it energize you. Let it fill you. Let it flow through you. And breathe out. Breathe in unconditional love, so you can truly know who God is as love. Embrace it. So slowly dial everything down to that place of rest. Focus on Father, Son, and Spirit within you. Choose to open the gateways of your spirit, soul, and body. As you choose to open that gateway of first love to embrace Father, Son, and Spirit, consciously choose to drink from the source. Drink from the fountain. Drink, drawing from the life of Jesus, the way, the truth, the life. Drink deeply into your innermost being. Rivers of living water, rivers of life, rivers of light energy start to flow through the gateways of your spirit, soul, and body. That river flows to your innermost being, to your core, the union of Father, Son, and Spirit, and your body, soul, and spirit, where it meets within the Merkabah and is focused. That river begin to focus and build and energize And then see that river flowing to your 7 energy gates and begin to activate your crown. Activate each of those energy gates. Let it activate your heart and let each one be energized with life. Feel. If you need insight, if you need to be able to see in the realm of spiritual things, that it would open that gateway. The eyes of your heart will be enlightened. If you need to speak wisdom, truth, love, that your voice gate will be activated. Very energy causing you to speak life. Each of your gateways energized with life, abundance. And as you're filled to capacity, then see that river flowing from your energy gates outwards, creating fields of energy around you, fields of life, that wherever you go, you have life in abundance, that your shadow can heal, that you can focus that energy to bring life. It will turn salt water fresh. You're creating life around you, flowing, energizing each of the spheres you have called and chosen to engage. Those spheres of family, those spheres of work, maybe those spheres of church, those spheres of different aspects of your life, that you're creating energy and life for those fields, energizing them. You can live in that bubble of energy, of life and abundance. Just begin to rest in that energy, in that love, in that life, filled and flowing with amazing, living, flowing life energy from the source of life, who is light and love and spirit. Be filled, be flowing, be energized.